the people's champion. Host, welcome back to the baseball hut. Hopefully you like this live video and watch on replay, leave comments. Comment section. We're going to wait a couple minutes, wait for the peoples to come in. Haven't done a live stream in quite a while. I've done a live stream like 2 weeks. I guess it was right before Game 6. It was right before Game 6 against the Dodgers. So I'll be doing be on for a little bit. Mets are busy trying to put their ball club together. I probably should set up things here a little bit better than I have. Hey, hold on a second. I need to get my computer. Hold on a second. What a great operation that says everybody does things with their computer, StreamYard. I don't feel like doing that tonight. Folks. Now, of course, please like this video. Go on. Please, again, people bouncing in here. Hello. Get started momentarily. Just setting up here. It's a great operation I got here. The one-man band. Alone against the regime, against the MCM. But we'll talk about a lot of stuff here tonight. Juan Soto, obviously see the title of this live stream. Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, Garrett Crochet. God, I hope I spelled his name right this time. He spelled his name wrong. But we'll get through this. Get through this live stream, I swear. We get through this. Mets have been very busy. A lot of great things going on here with the Mets. Everything's open to them at this point. There's any number of things they could do. What's great about this offseason as opposed to the last few offseasons, like last offseason, they were kind of hamstrung with contracts of players that weren't here. And obviously, the Mets have so many players that are off the board now. Scherzer's gone. Verlander's gone. James McCann, believe it or not, is gone. Panload Omar Narvaez is off the Mets roster. Mets had 14 free agents. 14 free agents that are basically declared. And amazingly, we have some interesting decisions they need to make. Obviously, the Mets have a whole bunch of people. Who's this? Mark Israel. Go Dodgers. All right, what a great start. Why are you here? I welcome you. Hopefully you subscribed. But, go Dodgers. The gambling degenerate Shohei Ohtani. What? Junior Rivers, how are you? John Boy. So we've got a lot to go through. Not going to be on too long. Probably on until about 9 o'clock. I know that WFAN, we'll talk about WFAN at the end of this live stream. Jay Bogues. Mets are terrible. You are a moron. You're just not being honest. You're not being honest. You just aren't. Let's be honest. You are not being honest. We know the Dodgers won the World Series. The Mets played well this season. Terrible is last play. You want to know what terrible is? The Chicago White Sox. Well, anyway, enough of you. We have a good situation here. The Mets can do just about anything. The Mets can do just about anything at this point. They have all these free agents coming off the payroll. Oh, Muttley Love. Let me get the bell out. Bell out from all my great subs. Muttley Love. Jay Bogues. How you doing? We have a lot of stuff going on with the Mets. So many things that are going to be decided upon. You got all these free agents. There's so many things they could do. There's so much money available to them that we're just getting started. Skadoosh. Bye-bye. Skadoosh. Don't have any... Mudley and Love, since you're here, please throw him out of here. Please. I need to get this guy thrown out of here. All right. This is a loser in life. All right. So anyway, we have a situation where the Mets have a lot of money coming off books, and we're going to have to see where they take the club. We're in great shape, and we're going to do a lot of different things here. And talking about the Mets, obviously, your host is like you, big Met fan, and we're going to do the best we can to get through this offseason. But first up, Juan Soto. This week, the Mets are going to see Juan Soto in California, as well as the Yankees. And what's going to happen now is the Mets are going to talk to him. We're going to get a good feel for him. The Mets ownership is going to talk to him. And we will get a pretty good sense of where the Mets feel this week. And there's going to be all kinds of rumors. And, of course, the Yankees are going to meet with him. He did get a chance to play with the Yankees this past year. And, of course, the Mets are, that's really their biggest competition. The biggest competition the Mets have is with the Yankees. The Yankees have a lot of things going for them. He played for them last year, which is a big thing. But the thing is that the Mets have the most money to spend. Hal Steinbrenner is going to get to a point where he's not going to spend any money. Okay? He does have his limitations. He's not his father. His father would have taken him to the bank long before he became a free agent. Okay? Because George would not have gotten to the point where he would be free on the market. He would have signed him probably the second he became a Met. Second he became a Yankee. So that's the one thing about the Yankees now as opposed to where they were 20 years ago. The Yankees would just dump a boatload of money on him and just said, you're not going to leave. We make a deal for you, you're going to sign here, and that's it. And he would have. Hal is not his father. He's not aggressive like his father was. So really, that's really the biggest competition the Mets have is the Yankees and when it comes to Soto. So your host is very excited. I know you're all excited. And I will keep doing videos. I'll have plenty of videos on Juan Soto every day. As long as there's some kind of news, I'll have some kind of update on him. YouTube's been kind of weird the last couple of days. Been sort of up and down with the videos. In the past, they've been very strong in the offseason. I've had really strong videos, and then I've had clunkers. So I'll try to get as much information out to you. Usually my best videos are coming up. I did a video, we'll talk about him later, Roki Sasaki, and it bombed. Absolutely bombed. But Soto is the big fish. And I would mention the Yankees would not have gotten to the World Series if it wasn't for him hitting that big home run against the Guardians. Although the Yankees had a 3-1 lead in that series against one of the more boring teams in baseball and the Guardians, he was able to sort of show he can hit anybody's pitching, and he's just a great, great player. And that's the one thing about him is he can hit anybody, and he will make your team better. And he made the Yankees better when they needed him to be the best player. The problem is that we had the Dodgers there, and the Dodgers beat them, and the Dodgers, the job they did. Let me just read the chat. Hello, Nelson Cruz. Hello, Stony814. How you doing, guys? But the Yankees are in a very peculiar position because they have 34/35-year-old Garrett Cole, who can't cover first base. You have 32-year-old horseface, Aaron Judge, who is, is all swing and miss. He's one dumb mofo. Really, you watch him play, he's a dumb mofo. I'll tell you that. His feel for the game is not very strong. It is not very strong at all, to be honest with you folks. He dropped the ball in center field for the Yankees. Now, I know that I don't know if it was laziness or lackadaisicalness or he just messed it up. But that opened the floodgates. And then, of course, Cole's not going to first is what really opened up the floodgates. That really destroyed the whole season for the Yankees. And it was great to watch. It was great to watch. And even the Dodgers admitted it. They're like, you know what? We know going into this series that the Yankees were going to be a team that'll beat themselves or shoot themselves in the foot, and they certainly did that. They certainly shot themselves in the foot, and they did that, and it was wonderful, absolutely, positively, and the hut means awesome. It was awesome. Hold on, I need you. Look, 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 look. So I mean, but he absolutely tanked the season for the Yankees, and so did Cole. So you have two older players. One's 32 and Horseface, and Garrett Cole, who so funny about Garrett Cole. When you talk to him after a game where he messes up or whatever, it's like I don't I say I don't know how this happened. I don't know. The same thing when they caught him asking him about the spider attacks. I don't know. You sort of all flustered. But you have two older players that are at the center that are at the core of their team. And they've not won. Now, Aaron Judge has been with the Yankees since 2017, and they have not won. So if you are Soto and if the money's equal, why would you want to go to the Yankees that have two older players that have never won as a group, and the best player on that team is a moron and strikes out like crazy, and you can't have him go near any kind of like bullpen fences because he'll kill himself. He'll have like the most mysterious foot injury in baseball history. How do you navigate that? How do you decide if you want to be on that team? Hello, sir, foul player, Brooklyn. How you doing, sir? Jay Doffer, how are you? So Soto has a very difficult decision because on the one hand, the Yankees are going to be good every year, but I mean, they need a lot. I mean, the Yankees need a lot of work. They don't have a second baseman. They have more holes, really, believe it or not, than the Mets do. They don't have a closer. They don't have really a pure center fielder. They don't have a right fielder now with Soto. They don't have a first baseman. They don't have a second baseman. Who's the third baseman? Jazz Chisholm? I guess they'll put Chisholm to second base. He's a clown. He is so un-Yankee-like. To be honest with you, folks. He's so un-Yankee-like. Hello, the Shraken. How you doing? Hello, Rocky Marciano. Hello, Philip Marino. Welcome. Hit the like button on this live stream. But Soto has this decision to make. I hope we find out pretty soon. I hope it doesn't take forever, like last offseason took forever. Absolutely took forever to decide, what the teams and what players we're going to sign. That is a better market than last year. Hello, Bayonet. But anyway, next up. Corbin Burns. Now, I read an article before and was listening to a podcast. Jim Bowden, a failed general manager, who used to be the general manager for the Reds, said the Mets are all in on Juan Soto and Corbin Burns. That David Stearns wants both of them. That would be sort of the center of his offseason. There's been kind of sort of a murky kind of way of looking at the Mets this offseason, because really nobody knows, because nothing's getting out now with the Mets. The Mets have been able to keep now everything in-house. So according to Jim Bowden, the Mets are all in for Burns. They're all in for Soto. And there are other moves after that we'll get into. particularly third base, that has a domino effect of the entire ball club over what's going on here in the last 6 years. But Corbin Burns, his strikeout rates have gone down, his whiff rates have gone down, but he's still an ace. He's still getting outs. He pitched really well in Baltimore last year after he got traded from Milwaukee to the Brewers. The Orioles are very strange. I've been trying to wrap my brain around the Orioles, trying to figure out what happened to them at the end of their season last year. They were an organization that had so many young players, and they basically have, I don't know, they just sort of fizzled out. They didn't make strong trades at the deadline. They brought in Trevor Rogers, which was a mistake, and they traded big prospects for him. They made a trade for Eloy and sent him to the minor leagues. Eloy Jimenez, the same thing. They brought him in to be a sort of a glass guy on the bench, fourth outfielder. He was a mess. And they just sort of fizzled out offensively as a young team. I don't know what happened. There might be a leadership issue in that clubhouse. I felt that they should have brought in a veteran player into that group. But that's why I wonder where they're going to go this offseason and how this affects the Mets and how this affects the market. And I'm still curious to see how Baltimore deals with this new ownership, because they have promised the fans down there they'll spend money. Now, Corbin Burns is well known by David Stearns, because David Stearns drafted him, developed him, made him into an ace, and upset him. Even though he wasn't part of it, he did get upset during that arbitration hearing that they had 2 seasons ago, 2 off seasons ago, I think it was, after the 21 season, I guess. He's a guy that has won Cy Young Award. He's won plenty of games. He's pitched in big games. He had a big season with the Orioles, and he is a quality starter, and he is a true ace. There aren't too many true aces, and he's it. The Mets would only have to give up money. Let me see if he has a qualifying offer, and we'll go through the free agents at the end of the live stream. Yeah, he has a qualifying offer. Juan Soto also has a qualifying offer. Just so you know. So those guys will be you'll have to give compensation to the draft. And that asks, do you think Mendoza will be manager of the year? We'll say he should get it. They're really pushing hard Pat Murphy, who, by the way, not for nothing, Mendoza outmanaged him in that 3-game series. And I think we all know that. But then again, when Pete Alonso hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, that kind of puts it in perspective. A Project says Murphy's going to win. He's probably going to win it. Because again, the media at Major League Baseball, they hate the Mets. And that's probably why he's going to get it. Plus, a Met got it 2 years ago. With Buck Showalter. But what are we looking at in terms of money? Let me go back a little bit to Juan Soto. Juan Soto is going to get at least $600 million, probably 14 to 15 years, due to the fact that he's 26 years old. He's going to make a big moolah. I don't think he'll take it deferred like Ohtani did. He's going to have it all up front, and Boras is going to push for it all up front. That's for sure. And if it is pushed up all up front, it'll be more than any player has made on average per year. I'd be very surprised if he didn't take it up front. And Burns will get about. Now here's the interesting thing. Stearns had said this offseason he doesn't like giving out long-term contracts to pitchers. So that is something that we have to sort of keep an eye on. He only gave all 1-year deals except for Sean Manaea last offseason, and he had an opt-out. Player opt-out. Be interesting to see what kind of contract he gives Corbin Burns with his velocity down, strikeout numbers down, But if he's more of a contact guy, then the Mets are going to need a better defensive club behind him. So that's a little bit different. But Burns is a very good pitcher, and he's an ace. And this would really set the Mets up really well in terms of the rotation, in terms of what they need to do moving forward. Now you have to keep him healthy. He's pitched a lot of innings. He's due for Tom and John. They all get it. But he is a true ace, and he's a very good pitcher. I'd be very excited to have him with the Mets. And as Stoney 814 says, it's Stern's guy too. He knows him. Now we have Pete Alonso. I have said that I would bring him back. I wouldn't have a problem bringing him back, but going through and reading the tea leaves, I don't see Pete coming back. I think that the chances of him coming back are dropping. I think after the home runs that he hit in the postseason, I thought he was definitely going to come back. But after watching what Stearns and reading what Stearns had said about Pete, how they they're basically going to let him test the market and then they'll monitor it. But I think that he's probably going to be gone. I think there's a 35% chance he'll be back. I think what the Mets will do is if they can't sign certain players and they lose those certain players, and we'll get into those guys, and Pete comes back to them with an offer from a team, if the contract's not crazy, they might negotiate. But I think the Mets have kind of decided to move on from Pete. So that's how I look at it. I think also the power numbers have really dropped the last 2 years. And my concern is that he's had multiple injuries to that wrist. And his numbers should not be dropping the way they have over the last 2 years in the middle of his prime. He had an injury, obviously, last year to that wrist, which he was gone and played terribly in June last year. We know that June basically destroyed the Mets season 2023. Because he didn't hit, and the club played terribly with the bullpen. And he had an injury in 21 where he got hit in the wrist again. And those are not the first times he's been hit in his wrist. He got hit in 2016, right after the Mets drafted him. He got hit right on the wrist in the minor leagues. And he's been dealing with these kind of injuries. And if he's losing power, if he's losing production, I think it's because of that. If any kind of injury to your wrist, it's going to have an effect. And now he had a good October. That home run in Milwaukee will live on forever. And that basically shut up everybody that complained about him being non-clutch, being Dave Kingman forever. That home run will live on forever. And it'll live on forever in terms of in Major League Baseball history, because no players ever hit a home run with this team down in the ninth inning in an elimination game on the road too. So no players ever done that. He's done that, and that's something to be very to hang your hat on. Hang your hat on it. So, but I don't see him coming back. I see more of a defensive position at first base. I could see them certainly signing Christian Walker, who is a great defensive first baseman. His power numbers are going up. He had a better year offensively until he got hurt in August last year. And he's 33, but his power numbers are going up. They're not flattening out or dropping. So I can see them doing more of that. Now, there is the rumor, and I did a video on it. This is about Willie Adames. Obviously, David Stearns knows him. He traded for him with the Rays. Let's see who the hell. Somebody text me. Who the hell text me? And we have a situation with the hell was I at? Willie Adames. Sorry, somebody text me. Hold on a second. hold on. Just texting somebody. I knew that was going to happen. And the Mets supposedly had given him a contract offer of 5-6 years, 170 million, something like that. I'm thinking off the top of my head. And they asked him to play third base. Now the response is that the Mets put him at third, they'll put Vientos at first, and obviously the Mets will be moving on from Pete. That's what they plan on doing. That's the plan. That's the thought. So we'll see. It's an interesting thing. The word is that he's not quite sure about playing third. He wants to play shortstop. He wants to continue to play short to his career. But he's not going to play short here because he's not nearly as good of a shortstop as Francisco Lindor is, and this is Lindor's team. Now, Jim Bowden, I guess, did that podcast on his whatever it was. He had said that if they don't sign Willie Adames, that they will sign Alex Bregman. They will shift Alex Bregman. That they feel that they want to really improve the defense at third base and put Vientos at first. Vientos, as a third baseman, has improved. His arm is good, is strong, but his footwork's not the best. His hands aren't the best. So I guess they want to cut down on the mistakes. All they gotta do is catch the ball. A project used in the Mets organization. Vientos has no range. Well, that's probably true. But they're gonna move him to first if they sign either one of these guys. Now Bregman's an interesting case because Houston's gone all out for him. I also would mention on X tonight, he was in Washington, watching the I was gonna say the Redskins, whatever the hell they call themselves, the Commanders. They should go back to the Redskins, by the way. And nothing wrong with that. Supposedly he's in Washington. I would assume that he's talking to the Nationals. The Nationals look like they're going to be coming back from the abyss very soon, either this year or next year with their team. I know that Pete Alonso has been attached to them, as well as Adames and Bregman. Let me cross that out. I'm not talking about Adames. I mean right there. But that's what I've heard about Bregman. That he was in Washington. I saw that today. That he was in Washington. Basically watching the football game. I would mention, boy, there's no football here in New York. I mean, oh my God, the Jets are terrible. The Giants are terrible again, and it's a big waste of time. So we have two teams that are a complete total disaster. Complete total disaster here in New York City, and well, that's all I'll have to say about that. That's all I'll say about that. Now, please like this live stream and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And we are going to go a little bit. I was hoping to go a little bit later, do some more videos. I'm going to, do what I need to do here tonight and talk about the stuff we want to talk about here. But I'm going to have to get a bro right now, so for tomorrow. But hope I have a video out for you in the morning. Hoping to paint the house tomorrow. But that might get put off another day. But yeah, so keep an eye on Alex Bregman with the Mets. Keep an eye on Willie Adames. That's still out there. I expect Pete Alonso not to be here anymore. Like I said, 35% chance he's not going to be back. That's my opinion, the 35%. Now, there are rumors going about Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet is the only thing going for the White Sox at 41 and 121 with the most losses in baseball history, modern baseball history. Garrett Crochet is their ace. What a great, with 6 and 12. Now, I've never seen him pitch, so he's an unknown to me. If I haven't seen a player, I'll tell you if I haven't seen him. He's an unknown to your host. So I've not seen him, and I'm not going to pretend to know what he throws. I know he's been a guy in the bullpen. They put him in the rotations. They had nothing to lose. But unless I see him, I don't know, and he did not pitch enough for me this year for me to sort of decide what kind of pitcher he is. And considering that is a complete disaster in Chicago, it is difficult to sort of ratchet up what kind of player he is. But the White Sox are looking for young players. They're looking pretty much for everything. And the Mets have plenty of young players, position players that they can trade. Jet Williams, which I wouldn't move. Ronnie Mauricio, Luis Angel Cunha, Brett Beatty, Drew Gilbert, Ryan Clifford, Kevin Parada. Let's have plenty of players here to move for Garrett Crochet. So he is a pitcher, and he is a player to keep an eye on with the Mets. Because the Mets, like I said in the beginning of the live stream, the Mets have such a great ability to bring in. They have so many possibilities in front of them in terms of who they can bring in, who they can sign, who they can trade for. So there's a lot the Mets can do. Really, there's a lot. They're free agents that they can sign. They can sign anybody. Players, they can trade anybody. They can trade for anybody. Garrett Crochet, they can trade for. The next player we're talking about is Devin Williams, who I was the first to do a video on him, and now people are coming around talking about it. Devin Williams is another guy that the Mets could trade for because he's got 1 year left on his contract. And you can have a really strong bullpen. Now, he would not be the closer here unless Edwin Diaz takes another step back. Now, people are going to say, well, why would you trade for a guy that gave a big home run to Pete Alonso? He's a great closer. He's been a great closer. You don't judge a closer on a walk-off. You're going to do that, then you're going to have to say that Dennis Eckersley, isn't a Hall of Famer. Also, just to go back to the White Sox, Luis Robert Jr., I did a video on that possible trade this morning, at 12 o'clock, excuse me. I would not make any move for him. I would rather sign a free agent center fielder or go with Drew Gilbert in center field, or perhaps make a trade somewhere else. So that is one thing that I'm not too big on. Luis Robert Jr. is a little shaky. He's always hurt. I'm not too big of a fan, to be honest with you. From the things I've heard about him, read about him, he doesn't really interest me, to be honest with you. A Prodigy says Cedric Mullins, he does interest me because they have a lot of young talent there, and he's on the outs. And he's left-handed. The Mets need more balance in their lineup. Now, a lot, of course, depends on if they sign Juan Soto. Then you have more balance with Soto. And you have to figure it out. A Project says he's good defensively. Right. You're going to need a strong defensive center fielder to be able to sort of cover the ground in right field. Because you know that the Soto, if he signs, will be going to right field. He's not going to left field because they already said that Brandon Nim was going into left field. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. Now let's talk about the Mets' own free agents. Really two that really interest me. Other than Pete Alonso, Sean Manaea, and Luis Severino. Severino should take the qualifier offer from the Mets to prove that he's healthy and get a bigger contract. Because he's not going to get nearly as big of a contract. He's not going to get nearly as big of a contract as he would if he pitched another year and has another good year. So Severino should take the qualifying offer. I was very happy the way he pitched, but you still got to be careful with him because he did not pitch a lot of innings over the last few years. So him taking the qualifying offer is a good bet for him, and it's a good bet for the Mets because then he basically says, I'm going to do it again, and if I do it again, then I'm going to do a big payday next year. So I think a lot of teams are going to be a little bit reticent with him having a qualifying offer. He has a qualifying offer. Just to go through this again, so I missed a couple players here. Willie Adames, Alex Bregman have qualifying offers. Luis Severino has a qualifying offer. Are you going to give him a 3-year deal, knowing that he's been hurt the last few years, up until last year, and have to give up draft pick compensation? I don't think so. And I think the Mets, that's probably why they gave him that. And I know he wants to come back. He says he loves playing in New York, and he was great. He had a great season, and is a good guy. So I think he'll be back. An interesting player in this is Sherman Knight, who also has a qualifying offer, and I'm going to run down all the teams on him in a little bit. But he is a guy I'd like to resign. But how many years you want to give him? He's a little bit different. He's left-handed. He changed how he pitched in season, which is unusual. He changed his arm slide. He was a very different player in the middle of the season onward. And he's a big reason why the Mets got the postseason. And he pitched some big games down stretch and into postseason. He pitched great to the 6th inning against the Dodgers until he basically ran out of gas. So, how many years you want to give him? Because he's going to probably want 5 years. I would not do that. Stanley Bobich says Cohen can afford to sign both Alonso and Soto. That is true. But the problem is with this is that do the Mets want Pete Alonso? I don't think it's a matter of money. I think it's a matter of do they want him bad enough? Okay. Now, Manaea has plenty of teams. We'll get into that in a little bit. But he is going to be interesting. He's going to have a lot of teams on him. I heard the Yankees too with him. Now we got the big international player. That's Roki Sasaki. Any team can sign him. And I believe that he won't be posted. I think he'll be posted pretty soon to where teams could talk to him. But teams can't announce him signing. I could be wrong. By the time we get to January 15th, which is the international players, all the kids that get signed on January 15th, which is all the players in the Dominican, players in Venezuela, and any international player, they will sign by January 15th. So that's a guy that we won't know. We'll probably hear rumors. I'm sure the Dodgers are probably going to sign him. That's been the rumor. But any team can sign him. But they can only sign to a minor league contract. So he could sign it with any team. But the thing is that they can't announce anything until, I guess, January 15th. And he can't get a big contract. He'd have to go through the process of being, basically making the team, whichever team he's on, and then starts the process. So you could have the best of him at 23 years old without injuries, and he's had some injuries in Japan, and then he becomes a free agent at 28 years old, or 29 years old. So that's where we are with him. But all the teams are going to be on him because it's not going to cost them any money. It's all minor league money, and that's not a lot. So, let me read from Stony 14. Speaking of videos, are you going to do any more movies on WFAN? I always get a kick out of them. I did one the other day on the Baseball Hotel. Forgot what the hell it was about. And we're going to talk about WFAN at the end of this live stream. And I'm going to get into that. Just making fun of them is my life's goal. Just making fun of them because nobody does it. Nobody does it better than I do it. Maybe Imus did it better than me. But he was mean about it. But, so I'm going to go through the list of all these players. I have so many players on this list of traded players and players that are free agents. Players that are free agents. Now, before we get into it, please hit the like button. If you're watching on replay, please leave comments in the comment section and subscribe. So here we go. Juan Soto got a qualifying offer. I've heard the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Giants, Seattle, Toronto, the Dodgers, and back to Washington. Rumor is he's not a big California type of guy, even though the Mets, even though Soto is in California and the Mets and Yankees are going to go meet him in California, he's not supposedly a California kind of guy. I think he's more of an East Coast guy. He's more of a sort of that East Coast vibe and Northeast vibe. So those are the teams on him. Corbin Burns, another guy with a qualifying offer. The Mets are very interested, according to Jim Bowden. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, Boston, and the Cubs. I probably should put Baltimore back on that, but the Baltimore has a qualifying offer on him. Pete Alonso. The Mets, the Cubs, San Diego, the Yankees, Milwaukee, Seattle, Houston, and Washington. I think he'll probably go to Washington, to be honest with you. You know, they could sell him on a they got a good general manager. He's won a World Series down there. They could sell him on you'd be with the Nationals for a year, and then we'll start to win. Next up, and Pete's got a qualifying offer. So if the Mets lose him, they'll get a draft pick from whoever signs him. Alex Bregman. The Yankees, I don't see the Yankees doing that. The Giants, Houston, the Mets, Seattle, Toronto, and the Washington Nationals. It seems that he was in Washington today watching the Commanders, formerly known as the Thinskins, formerly known as the football team, formerly known as the Redskins. So he is down there, I guess, talking to them. And he's got a qualifying offer. Another person with a qualifying offer is Willie Adames. I've heard the Dodgers. I don't know what the deal is there, but the Mets were very prominent in the last few days. The Yankees, the Giants, Atlanta, believe it or not, and the Tigers, I've heard. Shane Bieber. I put the Mets down on here, but any team could sign him. I would not sign him. But the Yankees are there and the Dodgers are there. A team that's like in the middle should sign a guy like him. You know, that's not quite ready to compete just yet. Jack Flaherty. I think he's going to re-sign with the Dodgers, but I've heard the Dodgers, the Mets, the Angels, the Yankees, and Detroit. Blake Snell. I am not a big fan of Blake Snell. He is weird. He's a weird guy. All right. He looks weird. He looks like a I don't know what the hell he looks like. But he's a very strange individual, in my view. But I've heard the Yankees, San Diego, the Dodgers, the Mets, Boston, Baltimore, San Francisco, and Detroit. He had an opt-out of his contract with the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the Giants. He doesn't have a qualifying offer on him. Hi-Sung Kim. I've heard the Dodgers. I heard the Mets early on, not so much now. Seattle, the Angels, Chicago, White Sox, Houston, and San Diego. I don't expect the White Sox to do a lot of moves. San Diego should think about re-signing him. He's a very good player. He's a winning player. No qualifying offer. And he was injured at the end of the season. Anthony Santander. I've heard the Mets early on, the Cubs, Seattle, Houston, Milwaukee. He's got a qualifying offer. Toronto, San Francisco, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and the Yankees. Kansas City, I think, would be the place he'll go. Yeah, Blake Snell's a weird individual. He looks like a sloth. That's what he looks like. He looks like a sloth. Matt Chapman signed a big contract with the Giants, like a 5-year deal. Will Smith, the pitcher, he can go to any team. The Mets could use a left-handed pitcher, left-handed reliever. I'll put the Mets there just for that. Max Kepler, I put the Mets there because the Mets need left-handed hitting. But if they sign Soto, they're not going to need him. Ross Stripling's out there. Justin Turner, he's still out there, believe it or not. He's with the Mariners and the Red Sox last year. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. he should retire. Or maybe he should hang out with Marlon Byrd and get some further tips on how to be a good player in his late 30s. Max Fried's got tons of teams on him. The Mets, the Cubs, Dodgers, Yankees, Boston, Baltimore, Toronto. I'm sure I could add some more names. Carlos Estevez. Fried's got a qualifying offer. Carlos Estevez. Phillies, Texas, Oakland. Or they used to be Oakland. The Ghetto A's, we can call them. I guess they're going to be in Sacramento next year. They're going to play on grass. Toronto and the Yankees. Heard the Yankees very prominently last day or so. Paul Goldschmidt, Milwaukee, Arizona, the Cubs, the Yankees. I put the Mets there because they have a hole there. Houston should stay away from him. They don't want to have another Jose Abreu disaster. He should go back. He should go back to Arizona. Kyle Hendricks signed with the Angels. And as we go further along and we go through these live streams, you'll see more names being off my list. And I have it all written out here, folks. This is how much of an old timer I am. I wrote all this stuff out. So that's the way I can remember it better. I don't do it online. But we got 3 different pens. The blue is the player. The red is the team rumored to be signing or trading for a player. And the black is its final. Aroldis Chapman. He's a guy that's a free agent. Who the hell knows where he's going to go. Christian Walker. He's got a qualifying offer. He had a good year. He's had some good years the last 3 years. I've heard the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Tigers, Baltimore, and Houston. Walker Buehler. Doesn't have a qualifying offer. Did not get one. But the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers. I don't think he's resigned with the Dodgers. Guardians, Detroit, Atlanta. Michael Conforto. I made this list here. Seattle, Milwaukee. I put Texas, but Texas seems to be taking a step back with the payroll. Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Kansas City. I can see him going to Kansas City. I can see him going to Seattle. Kansas City's done an interesting job. They re-signed Michael Wacha, and that was a smart move. A Project says Dave Robinson. He's very good. I wonder how much he has left. Now, please, of course, like this live stream, and if you're coming through on a replay, please like the live stream and like the video and leave comments. I'll skip a couple names here. Tyler O'Neill. The Mets, I've heard lately. The Baltimore, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, believe it or not, and the Dodgers. The Pirates have to do something. They got a big pitching staff. They have a big pitching staff with a big pitcher. They better do something. Okay, really improve that club in a big way. Spend some money. That's an owner that's a cheap bastard. That guy in Pittsburgh. You got a great young pitching staff. You better spend money. Bring in some hitters. It won't take much for them to win that division. That's not a great division. Jurickson Profar should stay in San Diego. I've heard Kansas City, but he should stay in San Diego. Stony 14 said I heard Pirates could get Alonso. I don't think so. Why would he want to go there? That's a Debbie Downer for him. If he wants to go, he should go to a place that's a high energy place. Stanley Bobich, which I did not put him down. I did put Nathan Eovaldi. I'll get to him. Sean Manaea's got a qualifying offer. The Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, Texas, but I'll probably take them off. Boston, the Cubs, Detroit, Houston, Toronto, and Baltimore. Lou Severino, another guy with a qualifying offer. I think he'll resign. I think he'll accept that qualifying offer. Washington, Detroit, and the New York Yankees. We'll know by the end of the week. What's going on with the qualifying offers. I think it's on the 17th. So what's today's date? Today is the 10th. So we'll know by next week who's signing where. Jose Quintana. I heard the Rangers. I don't think he's going to go there. The Reds, because they're not going to sign any big contracts. The Reds, the White Sox, go back to the White Sox. I can see him doing that. Although that's a bad vibe. Detroit and Milwaukee. Detroit is one of these teams I think could be very sneaky and pick up a big player. Because they are right there with a good manager. They had a good finish to this season. I would not be surprised they snuck in and brought in a big player. Who that could be, I don't think it's going to be Juan Soto. But it's going to be a player that I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Bregman went there. And I think I put them. I didn't put them down here. See, Lloyd Adams, I could see him going there. or one of these pitchers, Blake Snell or Corbin Burns, that manager makes a big difference. He's no slouch. Luis Castillo could be traded. I thought about the Cubs. The Cubs are another team that should do something. I've heard nothing about that they're going to be aggressive or anything like that. I don't know what they're doing. But don't worry, they got Pete Crow Armstrong and his 220 batting average. But everybody brags about how he's a world beater. Okay. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. Teoscar Hernandez. He's got a qualifying offer. He's got a lot of teams on him. Let's see. The Mets, Cincinnati, believe it or not. They're another team that needs... Cincinnati's another team that has to do something because they have very good young talent, and they did not play well last year. They made the postseason a few times the last few years. That's a team with the new manager there and Terry Francona. They've got to improve themselves in a big way. In a very similar spot as the Tigers. They have an older manager. Well, he's not, A.G. Hinch is not an older manager. But Tito's an older manager. He's a guy that you know what you're getting out of him. Stability, quality. He knows how to run a bullpen. He knows how to run a team. They're going to be really good in that division coming up. But they need another player. They need a big bat in that lineup or a big pitcher in that rotation. But they have to be smart about who they bring in. But let's go through the teams with Hernandez. The Dodgers, the Royals have heard him prominently with him. The Giants, Boston, Atlanta, and San Diego. This from Stony 814, Hut. Do you see Jesse Winker coming back to the Mets with Sue? Would you want him back? Take him or leave him. I'm being honest. Take him or leave him. He does have fight. His intangibles are very strong. When he's on your team, you like him. When he's not on your team, you don't like him. He's a real competitor. He's got some real fire, a little fight in him, So that's a big deal. I would not have a problem with it, but a lot has to depend on the makeup of the rest of the team. If they sign Soto, they're probably going to shift to a right-handed hitting everyday center fielder. Tyrone Taylor's still here. Is Winker going to be a fifth? You're going to have 5 outfielders on the Mets? Because he is not a center fielder. He's a left fielder, right fielder, and a DH. So unless you want him to be the DH in a platoon with somebody, where's the playing time? That's the only question I have with him. In terms of as a player. Gleyber Torres. Seattle, the Tigers. Believe it or not, I got the Yankees on here and the Blue Jays. Nathan Eovaldi. The Mets, the Yankees, Baltimore, San Francisco, the Rangers. I don't think he's not going back there. Atlanta. I've heard Atlanta prominently. The Dodgers I would put there. San Francisco, Toronto would be there. Seattle, all the teams. Detroit, all those teams would be in on him because he's a big time stone cold beast in the postseason. So he's a guy to keep an eye on any team. He's going to have a very active market. Stanley Bobich says, would you bring back Severino? Absolutely. Why not? For 1 year. Michael Walker resigned with the Royals. Tanner Scott, he'll have tons of teams on him. I have only about 5. Boston, Toronto, the Mets, the Phillies. Hopefully, you would think that if you're a Phillies fan, with the Phillies, if you're a Phillies fan, you think you'd find a guy that can close out the games and come up with like a permanent bullpen. And the Yankees have heard. Bayonet says, can the Mets please cut down on strikeouts next year? It killed me to see it all year long. Well, every team is like that, Bayonet. And in Game 5, the Mets did not strike out at all. So the Mets were able to cut that out in Game 5 against the Dodgers, which was amazing not to strike out in this day and age. But all teams strike out. Mets don't have a high strikeout rate, to be honest with you. I think they're one of the more difficult teams to strike out. UC Kikuchi. I've heard Baltimore. Believe it or not, the Mets, I stay away from him. And the Tigers. Jeff Hoffman, the reliever. I've heard Toronto, Boston, the Angels, Oakland, the Mets, and the Yankees. Clay Holmes. I stay away from him if I was Mets. Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, and Kansas City. He's going to want to go to a team that wants a closer. A Project says, stay away from Hoffman. Yeah, I agree with you. He looks like a loser. Matthew Boyd, Cleveland, St. Louis, the Mets, and the A's. I stay away from them too. Jock Peterson, the Mets, Toronto, and Arizona. I got Jesse Winker on here. I put the Mets. Andrew Haney, the Giants, the Ghetto A's, and the Washington Nationals. Frankie Montas, going back to the Ghetto A's, San Francisco, Cleveland, San Diego. Nick Pavetta is an interesting pitcher because he's got a qualifying offer on him. He looks like he might have turned the corner. I've heard Boston, going back there. I've heard the Mets with him. I put the Mets there. Nick Martinez, but he has a qualifying offer. I don't know if the Mets would want to do that. Nick Martinez, who used to be a reliever, pitched solely out of the rotation last year for the Reds, had a good year. He's got a qualifying offer. Re-signed with the Reds. I've heard the Mets a little bit. AJ Minter, the Mets, the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Phillies. Okay, now I'm going to start reading some Japanese names. God help us. Tomoyuki Sugano. I've heard the Rangers, the Angels, the Mets, and the Brewers. Roki Sasaki. It's an easy name. The Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, San Diego. I heard San Diego prominently today. The Giants, Seattle, and Toronto. I mentioned San Diego because somebody had written an article talking about the connection with him and Yu Darvish. Now I'm going to read you this name. Hopefully I get it right. And I've heard him with the Mets. Hopefully by the spring training I'll learn how to say this name. Hopefully once I hear Gary say his name, I'll be able to say it properly. Shinozuki Ogasawara. Let me say this again. Shinozuki Ogasawara. I think I got it right. Brewers, San Diego, the Mets, Cleveland, and the Ghetto A's. Jeremy Berman, you don't want Gleyber Torres. You don't get the bell for that. That's not a good idea. Please, of course, like the live stream and subscribe. If you're coming by for the first time, please subscribe. I'm very different than any other live stream you ever come across on this platform. I don't care what I say about the players. I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm not going anywhere as a fan. I'm not going anywhere. And neither were you folks either. Jeremy says he has no interest. Okay. You say so. You say so. You have a go. How about that? You say so, Jeremy. You say so. So, we went through a lot tonight. And we're very lucky we have a good owner. Mets had the best owner of baseball. He's done such a great job. He's on the team 4 years, 4 seasons. A Prodigy. Torres is overrated. You think so? Is water wet? Gleyber Torres. It's overrated. You think so, A Prodigy? But, so Mets are very lucky. We have a very good owner. And he has spent a lot of money. He's great to us. He has done so much work for the team in terms of great fan relations. He's retired all the numbers that need to be retired. I'm so happy that he retired. Well, he made his number before he passed. He retired Keith's number. He retired Daryl's number, Doc's number. Obviously, he has one big number to retire, or two, but one big number, and that's Gary Carter's number that needs to be retired. Now he has done such a great job. The Mets, 2 of the 4 years he's owned the club, the Mets have made the postseason. And I cannot be any happier with the job that he's done. When the team needed to get rid of all of this dead weight, he got rid of Scherzer, he got rid of Verlander, got him out of here. And that is not easy to do. To get rid of Hall of Fame players and basically give up all the money and get some prospects back. That no one's ever done that. Stanley 14 says, and we're lucky we got a great host. Thanks, Hut. Well, thank you, Sonny. Yes. I take a bow. I tip my cap to you all. Yes, you are very lucky. No, I'm very lucky to have you watching. Like I said, it's a very different channel than all the other channels. I actually talk to you, and I don't talk down to you. So, although you get snippy with me, Buzz Bass says, how are the birds? The birds are fine. See, in the other hut, the hut was a small hut. This place is big. So, and, I have the lights turned outside. So, it's a little bit different in here where I'm doing my videos. My studio is under renovation. I really haven't done too many videos in there. And I got my real table set up in there. I'll be doing all my artwork in there and more videos in there. But that's what's going on here. But to go back to Steve Cohen has done a great job. And as Met fans, we all appreciate it. Now, your host was driving yesterday in the morning, and for God help me, whatever reason I was listening to, I was listening to the one guy WFAN absolutely hate and despise, and that's Joe Beningo. I can't stand him. I think everything about him bothers the hell out of me. Okay? He comes across to me as really sleazy. He just bothers the hell out of me. I think he comes across as a very sleazy guy. I don't know why. He always did. And he was complaining about the Mets not spending money. And one thing, if you listen to the radio, they always bring on callers that make the host look good and basically affirm what the host is saying. And he was complaining that the Mets aren't going to spend money, which is a bunch of crap, because they've done nothing but spend money. They were willing to spend more money on Yamamoto last year. They had the highest bid for Yamamoto last year. He didn't want to sign with the Mets. He wanted to go to the Dodgers. And they bring in callers to affirm, to make it seem like this is what the fans want. The fans want to spend money, and more money. But the problem is, if you spend money and you're not smart about it, where does it go? Well, where it goes is that you waste money on guys like Verlander and Scherzer. Also at WFAN, Salicata, a.k.a. Spazlicata, has been pissing and moaning all week that if the Mets don't sign Juan Soto, that they've had a failure of an offseason. It is barely November, and he's already declaring failure if one player isn't signed. The player is possibly looking for about $700 million. And if you're a reasonable person and a good businessman, you sign that kind of a deal for somebody that has his warts as a player. He's not a good defensive player. He doesn't pitch. He doesn't run the bases. He's not fast. But he's a great hitter. And he can win. But is that something that you want to put all your eggs in one basket? And the owner could probably do it. But to say that the Mets offseason is a failure when it's barely gotten started is ridiculous. And it's basically what they said last year, and the Mets went to the postseason. They're all declaring, this is a failure, got to trade everybody. They didn't do any of those things. In fact, they took this team as far as they could take it. They said they were going to make postseason, and they did. So that's where we are with WFAN. Back to their bullshit. But I do think it's funny that I do my videos on them, making fun of them, and which I've done for the last year. And their strategy is to do more work. It's to do more work. Where they do these live streams after every football game. And in a little while, Rico Broni's going to be coming on, and Evan Roberts. Did they have this idea of doing this prior to me making fun of them? No. But that's the power of social media. That's the power of you folks writing to them and goofing to them and calling their shows. And I know they've gotten a lot of brushback. Oh, I forgot to mention this. I hadn't mentioned this in any videos. I had told you and did a video on Spaz Licata that he had blocked me. And then he unblocked me. And then once he blocked me, I did a video and made fun of him. But here's something interesting. Little Andy Martino. Andy had blocked me about 2-3 years ago on X. Because he said something stupid on SNY, and I made fun of him, and he got all mad. I called him an asshole for saying that. I said that I called him that on X. He had blocked me. Well, the other day, I was going through the SNY feed on X, and he unblocked me. So this is the power of the baseball hut. The power of the baseball hut, and you folks watching me, has made not only WFAN jump, but I might have been the one person that made little Andy Martino unblock. Because little Andy blocks everybody. He blocked, I guess, the owner of the 7 line. You know, another friendly guy too online, by the way. But he never unblocks anybody. He unblocked me. I've been making fun of him in the live streams for 4 years. I think he had me blocked for 3 years. So all of a sudden he unblocked me. I guess he probably heard from Spaz. You know, I have a question. Do any of these hosts get deaf when they talk to Spaz Licata? Imagine him going to like the movie theater and they're talking in the movie theater. He's sitting there with his wife. Imagine that guy screaming at you. As he's always screaming. Another guy who's always screaming is John Javinsky. JJ, he's always screaming, that guy. Imagine him going to a restaurant. The whole restaurant would hear them, you know. I want chicken soup. You know, there's like 50 million people in the place. You know, and imagine sending it back. Send it back. You know, the people in the back of the restaurant can hear him. Or people in the other part of the restaurant or outside. But anyway, so that's a little update. It's an interesting update that little Andy Martino of SNY unblocked me. Now he's not the worst of the Mets beat writers. He currently is in terms of interactions with us. He's not the totem pole of the WFAN. The assholes that used to do the beat with the Mets. The next guy up that was worse than little Andy, was Mark Carrick, who was miserable online, did a lot of politics online, nasty political operative, whatever the hell he is. Then the last day he leaves to go work for the Athletic and not be a beat writer, he puts out a scathing book on the Wilpons. Real coward. And then, of course, the worst all-time Mets beat writer was Adam Rubin, who was so bad and such a miserable guy. One nasty thing after another. It seemed like he hated his job. And he did hate his job because he was begging Omar Minaya for a job. And Omar called him out during a press conference. And the media just destroyed Omar. And that's when Omar's career as a general manager went downhill, and they started criticizing him on a regular basis. Because they didn't want it to be known that a lot of the beat writers want to be in these front offices. You know, and they want to be in the game of baseball. They don't want to just write about it. But D-Ron Rivera used to list at WFAN when they had Steve Summers overnight. Me here, you there. D-Ron Rivera, how ya be? Our New York Metropolitans played unbelievably well this year. Francisco Lindor can do no wrong. It doesn't sound like that anymore. Too many cigarettes and too much flipping. Stony 814 says Stanley asked Hud if Alonso leaves, do you move Mark Vientos to first base? Probably no likelihood. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's kind of what they're looking at. I think that, like I said earlier, Pete will have a chance. He'll come back to the Mets. Now, if the Mets sign Damas or they sign Bregman, he's not coming back. I mean, that basically closes the door. They'll put Vientos at first. They'll tell him, get a first base. I'll learn how to play first. And that'll be it. That'll be the end of it. But if they don't do that and Alonso gets a contract offer from another team, he'll come back to the Mets and ask the Mets, can you match it? What can you offer me? And we'll find out. But I think, like I said earlier in the live stream, there's a 35% chance he returns, and it's dropping. So, and I've been pretty accurate on the players that sign here and don't sign here. And I think Pete wants to sign here, but I think the Mets have kind of moved on. I think they kind of like, I don't think that his production of the last 2 years warrants a big contract. That even they offered him, 2 years ago. So it's unfortunate that it's gotten to this point. He had a chance to sign that contract with the Mets. I hope he doesn't do a Mike Conforto, where he screws up his free agency so badly that he won't have any money available to him. Now, please, again, like the live stream, hit the like button, smash that like button, and if you send me a super chat, you'll get the bell. So, but, and, like I said, I've been saying, is super chats are great for, for me. It's great. It's donation for the channel. So that's it. That's the story. That's the story tonight. A lot to go through. There's a lot of stuff going through. We got all the awards being announced this week. An irresistible chicken sandwich. Irresistible chicken sandwiches. I will miss Iglesias if he goes to. It's true. He hired Scott Boras. Well, I would not. People are not going to like this. I would not resign him. I didn't like what I saw in the last month. I think he played too much, and it was catching up to him. Thank you, Sony. Ding, ding, ding. You get the bell. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. But, that's the thing. I like the Iglesias for what he provided, but you have all these young middle infielders, okay? They have to play. I think Iglesias is a great story. I think that song is going to be very played out next year. I don't think people are going to be singing that song anymore. It's a pop song. It's going to be known for 2024. It's not going to be known for 2025. I appreciated his hard work. I appreciate the fact that he took a year off and played this year for the Mets. I thought he should have made the team out of spring training. He had a great spring training. I was not happy with Joey Wendell when they had him here. The Mets did a great job of telling him what he needed to do to improve himself. He did all that. He put the work in. And again, I didn't think he had a good postseason. I think a lot of the hits that he had were all infield hits. The bats in Game 3 and Game 4 crushed the Mets. Him batting in the middle of the lineup was not good. It was a disaster. He should have been He should not have played Game 3 and 4. He shouldn't have been starting. The Mets realized it late. I would have played Jeff. And I would mention I think Jeff's going to be gone too. Okay, I think Jeff's going to get moved. I said during the season that McNeil and Alonso probably won't be here. Half the core will be gone. But I didn't think that Iglesias should have been playing. I thought he had played too much. I think he kind of worn out his welcome as a player. If you go into Baseball Reference, he's a below average offensive player. He's a terrific guy. He's a smart player. He's a good base runner. He's a good defensive player. But his offense, it caught up to him the last few weeks, and particularly in the postseason. Dion Rivera says, do you think they will trade Marte or use him as DH along with Winker if they resign him? The thing is I think they'll move Marte. Because if they sign Soto, I would move Marte anyway. But if you bring him Soto, Marte is going to get moved. I would just move on from him. You have to eat some of the money because he's 35 years old. And I would just move on. I think Marte will be gone. I think McNeil will be gone. And the way things are, I think Pete's going to be gone too. And I think the team's going to be a little bit different in terms of, just in terms of being a championship team. They are right there as a championship team, but they need to change the team because they have so many holes. You can't bring everybody back. Stanley Bobich says, would you replace McNeil with Acuna? No, it's more like who could ever play, who will win the second base position in spring training. That is, second base is up for grabs. Okay. You got Jeb Williams, who's one of the Mets' best prospects. Mets' best position prospect. He's a better position prospect than Acuna. Okay, and he is really doing a great job in the Arizona Fall League right now. You have Ronnie Mauricio coming back. You have Brett Beatty, who I'm not big on. I'm not high on him at all. So it's more of a competition. You want to have a competition at second. So that's the one thing I would say about Acuna is that I'd like to have a competition at second, similar to Beatty and Vientos. And here's just about Chicken Sanchez. I see Beatty as a trade piece. We'll see. There's been a lot of rumors about it. I've heard the Rays are interested in him. He could go in as part of a package for a Crochet. There's any number of places he could go. Okay, he doesn't. And if they bring in the Dams, he's got no place to play. They're going to move him. I am not a big fan of his. I don't think his bat speed's good enough. It's not fast enough, in my view. You can disagree with me all you want, but from what I've seen enough of him. He had plenty of chances. He had 2 chances to make it. I know players are, you should give them as much chance to do what they need to do. But from what I've seen of him, I don't like what I see. I'm being honest with you folks. I don't like what I see. His defense was better. I think his defense was actually better than Vientos' defense. But, his defense went from catching with his face to catching the ball pretty good. 7814 says, please don't sign JD Martinez and Harrison Bader. Not consistent hitters. Agreed. JD Martinez is probably done. Mets got the last of his great hitting in June, July, and August. And then when September came in October, done. He was done. And Harrison Bader, he's a great outfielder. He's a very good piece to have on your team, but they could do better. And he's just a stopgap. He's just a stopgap piece in my view. That's how I look at him. Henny Don says, I want Pete back, but Soto was the most priority than Adames. Agreed. But if the Mets feel that Pete isn't what he was, then you move on. The Mets have a very good offseason. They're doing it all from a strength. Last year, it was perceived as a weakness. The Mets can do just about anything in this offseason and have a successful offseason. We've seen with this general manager, he knows what he's doing. I knew that, but most people still are doubting him. I'm not doubting him. But is that it? I think that's it. We'll see when the next live stream will be up. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe Tuesday night. I was hoping to go up a little bit longer, but got to be up early now. Yes. A Price says, signed Soto and Adames. Well, we'll see. Agreed. That is one thing about the Mets pitching that's got to change. Is they got to throw strikes. Mets got to change that. They have to get better with getting ahead in the count and throwing strikes. Crooklyn 718 says, one of the Beatty, Mauricio, and Acuna can get the Mets Crochet. I think that's a possibility. I think that's a possibility. They might want Jed Williams. That's the thing. They might want Jed Williams. Mauricio's coming off an injury. Beatty has failed in the major leagues. You might have to give up another piece. You might have to give up a pitcher. Brandon Sproat's not going anywhere. That's the one guy that's not going anywhere. Do you give up Nolan McLean? I don't know. I wouldn't. McLean has a chance to be a very good pitcher. And he has a very good chance to be a closer. I don't know. Mets have really worked hard for that pitching, so I'm just throwing it out that they'd be wanting a pitcher, and any kind of trade for Crochet, a guy that they can throw in the rotation. And Sprout is a guy that could be thrown in there. More just throw it. Be a centerpiece player. Now I would mention a couple players: Dominic Hamill and Mike Vassell. I'm curious to see what the Mets do with them. I don't know if they're eligible to get on the 40-man roster or if they move on. I don't know what they plans for them because both of them did not pitch well in AAA the last 2 years. So I don't know how the Mets view him. And they've gone to the pitching lab and they've not pitched well at all. So I don't know where the Mets are thinking in that situation. A Prodigy says McLean is a good pitcher. Well, we'll see. The Mets pitching has gotten so much better in the farm system. That was the real big development this past season, was how good the pitching has been. Jonah Tong, you're right, Ivan Rivera. Forget about Jonah. Can't forget about him because he pitched really well too. So he's a guy that took a major step forward. He was a guy that was struggling with his control, and he really took a major step forward with that and was throwing strikes last year. So he's a very good pitcher. Crooklyn 718, Crochet is better than Peterson. I've not seen Crochet. Crochet's had a lot of injuries in his career. And he's been I would mention he was on a bad team. Okay. David Peterson's had his ups and downs in his career, but he's been primarily a starter, and he pitched great in the second half. So that's the one thing about Peterson. He's, aside from his hip, he has been an up and down pitcher, but he's been a guy. I think at this point, David Peterson he's a lock for the Mets rotation. As long as he stays healthy, he's got a chance to be really good. Top, probably number 3 starter at best, and maybe even better than that. But I can't say if Crochet is better. Have you seen Crochet? Well, the Mets have holes, Crooklyn. Mets have holes. They got to fill. They have a hole first, like I said, a hole in center field, a hole in right field, and they have a hole in their rotation. Foolish Game says choosing Adams over Alonso would be a mistake if they do. Alonso is our guy. His down year wasn't as bad as people make it to be. Well, I agree with you on a lot of that, but if it's not David Stearns' his guy, he's going to move on. Okay, Adams is his guy. Cripple 718, what's your take on McNeil? He's going to be gone. That's my take. They're going to move him because they have all these young players at second and in the infield. You can't play everybody. If they don't get Soto, I think he'll stay. But I think he's going to get moved anyway. I don't think it really matters one way or the other. But I think in all likelihood, McNeil is going to get moved. I think he doesn't have a big his contract. The money's not crazy. I can see the Mets taking some of the money. Seattle's a prominent team. They've always liked him. I could see him going there. I could see him going to the Cubs. There's any number of teams that I could see him going to. He needs to change the scenery, I think. And the Mets played well in September, and they didn't really miss him. So that's the one thing that how I view Jeff McNeil, the squirrel. His value is not as high as it would have been. I don't know what's happened to him in the last 2 years. Crooklyn says 718. Would you feel comfortable with Nimmo moving back to center field? Well, here's the thing, Crooklyn. David Stern said this week he's not playing center field. So whether I feel comfortable or not, it doesn't matter. The general manager says he's not playing center. So that's not happening. Hold on, hey, drink. So he's not going to be a center fielder. Brandon Nimmo, at this point of his career, is not a leadoff hitter anymore. He's not a center fielder anymore. He is a guy that is now a middle of the order guy. He batted sixth. He's a inspirational player. He's a good player. And he's not going anywhere. He's got 6 more years on his contract. He's here for the rest of his career. He's a leader on this team. The Met organization love him. And he is a great example of the Met farm system and how they took a player that didn't have a lot of fanfare and made him into an almost all-star. He should have been an all-star this year. He should have been an all-star the last few years. That was a disgrace that he didn't get into the all-star game the past few years. And here's this little chicken sandwich. The one player I'd like to see is Paul Blackburn. Don't think. They're going to non-tender him a contract. D-Ron Rivera says, do you think the Mets trade for Roberts or Cedric Mullins? Cedric Mullins more than Roberts. I don't like Roberts. He's a loser. He's a losing player. Cedric Mullins is not a bad player. He's left-handed. The Mets need a little more left-handed balance in this team. Jose Manuel, you know how many opportunities Pete wastes to bring in runners? Well, of course I do. His batting average, no, I don't. Not off the top of my head. A Project says Robert would fit the ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. He's lazy and didn't give a shit, just like the Yankees are lazy and don't give a shit. They're corporate. They don't give a shit. You got that right. That's the comment of the night. That's the comment of the night. Well, I'm in the live stream. I want to thank you all for coming by. Maybe we'll have one tomorrow. Maybe not. This was a really good live stream. Thank you, Stony814, for a super chat. And if you're watching a replay, I think you get super thanks on through the live streams too. We're back in the near future. It's getting late. I don't think there'll be a video at 12 o'clock. So I've been posting videos at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever. I don't think there'll be anything for tomorrow. The channel's doing really well. And of course, again, if you're coming through for the first time, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. The more you like the video, they say, I've heard different things about the like button. But if you like this video and you like my way about me, or if you just like me, hit the like button. This is a very different channel. I've said this many times, a very different channel than all your other favorite channels. I say it like it is. And I don't care what I say. It's freedom of speech. And God bless it, it might be coming back in vogue. So I don't care what I say. Don't be pulling my strings here when it comes to the baseball or anything else anymore. And I don't care what I say. And I'm not going anywhere. So as long as I can do it, I'll be on the internet somewhere, either on YouTube or anywhere else. So doing the baseball hut. So thank you all for coming by. Thank you for sharing the time with me. We'll be back very soon in the near future. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. And I'll see you later.